we start?
Yeah, I think we can start now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So over to you. I would welcome, but before that, if you would like to, should I?
Gitanjali, you want to go?
Welcome everyone. Thank you for this very important. I think we are all going through bad times, especially the small business people, and uh, uh, so I personally, like being someone who's into business, I'm really looking forward to listen to Mr. Pranab Pani and take his views, his ideas, and I'm sure this is going to help us a lot. With this, I welcome everyone who has joined today's session, and I request our membership director Shalini for to introduce. I mean, thanks
Yeah, I'll
for bringing
introduce.
him on board, and yes, please introduce him for the audience.
Yeah, thank you so much, Gitanjali. Thank you so much, Mr. Pranab, for taking out time from your busy schedule when you have been going around talking about your book, which we would be taking a lot of your time today. So, just a small brief introduction of Mr. Pranab. Mr. Pranab K Pani is a startup evangelist with more than 25 years of corporate experience into various industries. He has worked in diverse industries like IT, healthcare, education, energy, and aviation. He is an accomplished management speaker, thought leader, and along with it, he also is a columnist, an author, an editor, and a social influencer. He is an editor and columnist for Your Story. He's a voiceover artist. He's into PR. He's into branding. He's a communication specialist, a social commentator, a book critic himself, and he has been into film festival jury. He is on board of directors of many prestigious company, and he's a business advisor for many on board of established company. This is Mr. Pranab author's third book, Road Science, an anthology of essays, forward written by Mrs. Kiran Mazumdar Shah. He is an Odisha-born, successful corporate business advisor, and now settled in Bangalore. So a very warm welcome to you, Mr. Pranab, and we are looking forward to a very interesting session. So before we start, we could just mute everybody else other than me and
Yeah, I'll
Pranab.
be muting everyone. Like at the end of the session, we'll have a question answer
Yes.
time. And Mr. Pani, you can unmute yourself, and I'll be muting everyone, and you can unmute yourself and start the session.
So I'll be asking. I have a few questions for Mr. Pranab before I hand over this, thing to him completely, because I have read the book and I have a few questions. So, Gitanjali, you please handle the admitting the people, because a fantastic response and we have some amazing audience which is joining.
Yes, sure.
Thank you so much. So, yes, the most important question which people would like to ask an author is that what inspired you to write this book? So, I think we all would like to keen to know about what inspired you to write Road Signs. Over to you, Mr. Pranab.
Thank you so much, Shalini, and namaskar, good evening, and welcome to all of you, dear respected Rotarians of Bangalore, and all my good friends, whoever there is. Great to see you, about 42, 45 people could take time off from the busy schedule and a weekday and could assemble. And yeah, I'm definitely, hello.
Yeah, please continue.
Yeah, I'm honored and privileged to be among such illustrious people, and the esteemed Rotary has definitely honored me to host on this talk. There's a series of talk, in fact, have been scheduled for me, and only unfortunate thing is I'm unable to, the look and feel, that kind of the touch and feel kind of thing is missing today. We are all engaged, connected with each other in this virtual world, and thanks to the dreaded pandemic that has disrupted our lives and livelihood. And I pray to the Almighty to take good care of all of us and be peace around this world. And let's take good care of ourselves with good health and this planet, the environment in particular. Thank you so much. Coming to the question, Shalini. Well, knowledge is, I'm sure you'll agree with me, ladies and gentlemen, that is wealth. And in my opinion, wealth just cannot be hoarded. It needs to be shared. So knowledge also needs to be shared. I can't tomorrow leave this world carrying knowledge in my head if I do not share with others. It's of no use. The education that we have, if it doesn't percolate down to the lowest level in the pyramid, in the social pyramid, in the family structure, then it's of no use. So why do we hesitate to share knowledge when we gathered so much, we gained so much, we learned so much? Second, the knowledge we gain from three different sources. Our first teachers are our parents. The second teachers, the real teachers in the schools and colleges that we have. The third, the most important, is the life itself. Life is the biggest teacher. I'm sorry. Life is the biggest teacher that teaches us, all of us, so many things in our life. We learn a lot. But then, if you do not share the kind of knowledge that we gain and allow others to commit the mistakes probably, or to trip over the same potholes, I think we are not doing justice to ourselves. Forget about others. We do have a responsibility. So I thought, when I completed over 25 years in my corporate sector in various business domains, starting from telecom industry to the IT software, to aviation, to infrastructure, to water, to media, to entertainment, education, healthcare, and all that, I think, of course, I'm blessed to gain so much of knowledge traveling across the globe, meeting different kind of people, learning so many things from different cultures, the food habits, the clothing, the way we express ourselves, the way we understand a situation and react to it, the scriptures, the books, all that. But then, unless I share with others, I said, it's of no use. So I always believe in sharing everything as a typical teams man, you know. And that way I have the habit of writing. I express myself through my pen all the time. It's been a habit with me from my childhood, thanks to my beloved late father. I'm everything because of him. And I wish he would have been around with me to see the success of this book, because he is the only inspiration who taught me the Queen's language. He told me very clearly, rather all of us, we three siblings, me, my elder brother, my elder sister, saying knowledge is the only passport to success, recognition, identity. And I took it seriously. Today, I'm sharing that. And I keep writing when different topics, because this is the book, ladies and gentlemen. If anyone who have already acquired, ordered this book, or holding in hand, or read it, or in the process of, probably at the end of the day after this session, probably you will feel like ordering this book. It has got about 22 different topics, different essays. Each topic, I can tell you, just cannot be ignored by anyone, though the target audience for me is 18 to 45 years of age. I always believe in youth, the fountain of energy, enterprise. And if you want any hope, any aspiration to rest on the shoulders of these young, bright minds, if the nation is to be built, it is the youth. So this is what I have written about, and I compiled over a period of years, and I kept writing, and then many people, many very eminent personalities, I would say, in this country and even overseas in different countries, they kept telling me, Pranab, why didn't you compile a book? Why didn't you start writing a book and all? I never thought of, honestly, including my own sister, who uh, kept chiding me, I would say, that you write so much, but you have never bothered to publish it. Because I never believed in, kind of getting any kind of public adulation or recognition. I just wanted to express myself. But then I realized that it's a responsibility for me to share the knowledge with others, the experience that I've gained and attained throughout my life, my career. I'm being blessed with so many learned people, so many illustrious, illuminated people who have really impacted me. And all these are reflected in the writings that I have, which has been named as Christian as road signs. I'm honored and fortunate that Dr. Kiran Majumdar Shah have been so kind enough to write not just a foreword, have very strongly recommended the book to everyone. So, in a nutshell, Shalini, coming back to your question, I think in a little roundabout manner, I try to answer it, but then the fact remains, the bottom line is I'm sharing my knowledge, thinking that it will help others, help my readers, particularly the youth, so that tomorrow we'll have a better world around. People will be happier. People will have more confidence. People will be able to face challenges in their life, and we'll be happy all about. Together we can. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. That's an amazing thought process of sharing knowledge, because a lot of people out in today's world are thinking so much about what to share and always have a reason behind holding the information that they have, because information becomes like a way to cash, so it's so nice to hear that you're sharing. And I'm reading your book, and you have, as you said, 22, and it's very chronologically done. You have a progression that is there. And today is Engineers Day. So first of all, happy Engineers Day to everyone. And there is a topic in this book which is something which I'd like to discuss. This is the topic is third, India's unemployable engineering graduates, and in which the starting one which you mentioned is that nearly 94% engineering graduates are unemployable. So I'm sure we have many engineering graduates in our audience today. And I read through that and I was shocked, because I didn't become an engineer. I got a seat in RV college for computer engineer when computer engineering just started, and I just didn't do it because of various reasons. And I always felt there was a loss. Now, and after reading, I said, okay, I didn't lose anything much, but why this? It's a very highly debatable thing. I think if you would like to, I would like you to talk about that, and then we will go to something which we all also would like to find it very interesting. Yeah, please. Over to you.
Sure. First of all, happy Engineers Day today to all the bright analytical minds around. I'm not an engineer, unfortunately, so probably a little poorer student I am. Well, it is, in fact, Dr. C.P. Gurnani, the CEO of, what is that? One second.
Tech Mahindra CEO. Yes.
Dr. C.P. Gurnani, CEO of Tech Mahindra, had actually mentioned that, and that what triggered my this particular article. It's shockingly true. Shockingly true. Let's not try to defend ourselves on this. It's today, in fact, in certain WhatsApp group and on LinkedIn, I was kind of dragged to debate over this issue. There are quite a few people who agreed with, and there are many who do not agree with. But then I would like to quote Stephen Hawking, who said the real threat to knowledge is not ignorance, but the illusion of knowing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if this itself can be elaborated This particular sentence, what Stephen Hawking had said, is the truest manifestation of our predicament today in this world. The problem happens is when we pretend or we are under the illusion of knowing everything, then that's the end of learning. Learning is a continuous process, I'm sure you'll agree with me. Every step in life gives us something to learn, something to understand, something to fathom about. Now, when this kind of situation happens, since I've been there in the corporate world for over 25 years and been in the advisory board of some of MNCs, particularly for in the interview panel. When I was roped in, I remember it was for IBM initially, and second with Dell. I was assigned to interview the top management candidates only. After some time, I requested with the management saying, would you allow me to interview the freshers, the youngsters, the young graduates coming to the corporate world? Very, very difficult to tell you the kind of reaction I generated out of it. I mean, they were like curious. I thought, why did you want to get into that level? I said, because that's, if you really want to do a good service for your organization, I would prefer to do that, is get the best of minds. Because if your foundation is stronger, you can build any edifice over it. Any structure, the multi-structure, faceted personalities could be roped in if we get the best of minds at the bottom of the pyramid. Now, there are many challenges. Now, look at the holistically this problem of engineering graduates. The fact remains, whatever number of graduates, whether it is 1.3 million engineering graduates or put together all graduates coming, or even if it is lesser than that, I think that is beyond the problem, beyond the issue that we need to focus about. The focus is look at who are the stakeholders here. First of all, you have the students. Second is the educational institutions. Third, the corporate, the industry. Now, there is another, what do you call it, a stakeholder we shouldn't ignore about is the parents. Parents do play a major role. You and I, we have our children. Because many a times what happens, even the children, whether like it or not, consciously, unconsciously get influenced by the parents also. So the parents also need to incorporated into the whole scheme of things. Holistically, when you try to analyze the whole thing, you will understand that can we start putting the blame on the students first? I wouldn't agree on that. The reason I recall when I was a student, I never knew what the world beyond this. Forget about the corporate, forget about the job scenario or anything else in the world, the so-called big bad world. What happens is the education system that is imparted to us has a lacuna, I found. And it's unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, is continuing in this part of the world in particular. Let's not bother about the rest of the world. Of course, contextually, we need to, it brings in comparison always, which you cannot ignore, we shouldn't ignore. Because we need to learn in this global village, we need to learn from each other, at least the good thing, the best of practices, so that tomorrow will improve. India improves. India has all potential to be a global leader, where education and healthcare needs to be given the maximum attention focus. Unfortunately, successive governments have not been doing that. There has been, of late, a significant improvement, I must say, in the budget in particular, from 1.3% of the GDP. I think it's close to 2% or 2.2% of the GDP has been allocated in the budget on healthcare. But education is still, it's still in a situation which doesn't sound very flattering. I'm afraid if we continue to neglect and start blaming the colleges, the university, the students, and the corporate, it's not going to serve the purpose. Now look at always the cause and effect scenario. Whatever inputs are given, the outputs are accrued accordingly. What is input? Is the students, particularly since we are talking about the engineering graduates here, let me just focus on that. I'm not talking about the other general students and the management students or in the humanities and all this. In the engineering colleges and university, because I've been getting invitations to address many students in many colleges and universities across India, and I've been witness to and to understand the pulse of the issues, talking to the faculties, talking to the students and academicians and all that. And then I have observed that there are two sides of the story here. One is, unlike in the medical education, if you have noticed, if you have observed closely, medical industry, medical education in particular, is keeping pace with the changing trends in technology in particular in their field, which is unfortunately not happening in the engineering segment. That is perhaps the reason we are producing much better, much reliable hands as doctors than the engineers. With due respect to all the engineers.
My God,
Don't
that's
don't
a
mistake
very
me. Yeah,
bold statement to make. I think we've got a lot of engineers here.
with due respect, that's what I said. With due respect,
Yeah.
and it's not like you know the kind of engineering students, the graduates who had come and particularly had worked in PSU were quite different from the kind of engineers who are coming out of late in the last decade or 2 decades. I'm concerned about that part. What is happening? Why then, if the quality of these graduates are so good, then why most of the MNCs, and particularly in the IT industry, are spending millions and millions of dollars in their training?
I think
We
will
have
leave.
seen,
This I think this will continue for a long debate, and we can have one. But I think I want to, you can continue.
I'll just add one important thing is like the collaboration of the academia and the industry is something which is very important.
Yeah.
And if you look at the for the solution, the gap analysis would point at the absence of market and industry knowledge and practices among the students and the teachers. The required skill sets in the prevailing industry is completely absent from the curriculum. That's the point. That's the pain point. Posing serious challenges at the entry level, questioning the employability. And ladies and gentlemen, time is ripe to have academia industry collaboration. Well, like I said, I can continue on and on, but then I will give 2 examples of when I came across. I was invited by Nirma University to address their students, and what I saw Nestle in particular to try and bridge this gap. They have undertaken an engagement program with select universities of the country where the managers from Nestle get involved in training students at the university to increase their skill level so that at the entry level itself, they understand what the kind of world they're going to face with. Now, same Nirma University also has started and is piloted now, and they might increase the number of institutions partnering with various colleges and universities and the industry alike. So Indian tech companies run on cost arbitrage rather than innovation, which is another problem because the industry also cannot shirk responsibility. Now that is what is happening. Now creating a developing a knowledge economy, India must strive for increasing its expenditure in healthcare and education, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I think there are two attributes to this problem. The first is the courses don't keep pace with the latest discovery in the technology field, unlike, like I said, in the medical industry. But this challenge is not going to end unless we tackle the roots. Quick fix methods will not work when the student has already completed his graduation. So the knowledge needs to be imparted at the beginning itself, like what is the kind of world he or she is going to face with tomorrow, strengthening the academics at the early stages with good support from parents, teachers, along with life skills, love, and security can do wonders. No quick fix solutions will work, ladies and gentlemen. There is an important thing, there is a responsibility. And second, last but not the least, if you permit, just before concluding on this topic, is the kind of the quality faculty that we need to have. With again due respect to all the faculties, the teachers, university professors, colleges and all, they need to keep pace with the changing technologies and the demand of the market, which unfortunately I haven't come across in not many colleges and universities. So that's another challenge. And I'm sure this foundation which has been already laid, the edifice on which it has been created, our engineers, the great minds in India in particular, are going to create build a stronger nation. And I'm very confident about that and saluting all the engineers and the engineers day to day. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I would like to, before we go to the next topic, which is very relevant for entrepreneurs who have joined us, I would like to ask my engineer. Yeah. Please.
I think Mr. Pranab deserves a big round of applause and a standing ovation as an account of a beautiful explanation out of this first topic.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I was going to invite our president Subir, being the engineer himself, if he wants to comment anything on this topic before we move to the next topic.
Yes, please. Thank you very much, Shalini. This is a very interesting topic, and and a good, healthy debate can go on for hours together.
Yes.
I have some points to make, but I think we can go to the end and then we have, because otherwise, you will not be able to cover the key points. Thank you.
Great. Then I think we'll come back after the next topic to everybody else for their question is. But thank you so much, Mr. Pranab, for really giving great insights to this thing. And I'm sure people have lots of questions. My voice is breaking. I'll close the video because I think there is an issue. Is it okay now? Am I audible?
Yeah, I'm able.
Yes.
Okay. So before the next,
I'm able to hear. I think Ms. Shubhi's voice was breaking.
I think there's some issue with your network, Mr. Pranab. Is it? Are you okay? Here now? Can you hear now?
Yeah, I think Mr.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, network is a little slow.
I think it's raining very heavily there, I think. Okay. So now I would like to move to the next one, which I also found very interesting is, as you said, there are a lot of gaps and there are a lot of, gaps into industry ready, students and all that. So the next one, which I felt we should discuss is lessons from failures. And I was reading it talks about failures of people face in the entrepreneurships, startups and businesses. And I think there's a whole list of do's and don'ts that people, the reasons people succeed or don't succeed. So I would like you to take it because I being myself a startup mentor and I do, guide people, I found it very, very insightful, interesting. So Over to you on this turn, and I'm sure everybody would really gain from this. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Shalini. Well, again, I'm happy that Shalini another important topic with some of my close friends. I don't know why. Almost everyone say, hey, don't try to publish it. I'm sorry. That was the time I had actually put it in this manner, like I wanted to tell the world that yes, I am a failure as far as entrepreneurship is concerned. I said, no, your image will take a beating if you do like this. I said, let's tell the truth. Why to hide behind, and why to take it as a stigma that failure is something wrong or bad? Because I have become wiser today. Unless you fall, you trip over something and fall, you do not know what is the pain all about, and you do not know how to get up and walk again. Now that is what I have learned, and that is what I think I wanted to share with people. Because permit me, Shalini, to read out the beginning stanza of my book. Will
Please,
I?
please.
Hello.
But I think there is an issue with your bandwidth. Maybe you can close your video and do it, because
Ladies and
it's very
gentlemen, will
low.
I please permit me?
Yeah. Please do it, please.
Am I audible and
No,
visible?
you can close your video.
Right.
Your bandwidth is very low. Yeah, you can try now.
Okay. Am I audible now?
Yes, it's better.
Okay, there's something. Okay, all right. I'm sorry. All right. Kindly interrupt me if you find any technical issue with me, and kindly bear
Sure.
with me. Like I
Please.
said, because I'm not any engineer, that is where my lacuna has got exposed. Well, let me quote the first paragraph of my this particular essay, Lesson from Failure. Success introduces you to the world, but failure introduces the world to you. Nothing could be truer than this. You have been listening to the success stories of the accomplished people, but you're unable to reach their heights. Now, listen to the failures to learn and understand what not to do. Commit, which the success stories will never tell or teach. There's always struggle and pain under the glossy surface. Success covers them up or glorifies, as it suits the chosen narrative, but failure magnifies the underbelly and, more often than not, become the raison d'etre. The Sun Temple Konark was not built in a day. Ladies and gentlemen, like success, failure could also happen anywhere. In our relationships, in business, in the job and career, in studies and education, in sports and games, in social works, in politics, in research, in projects, in war, in personal and professional lives. But what causes them? Can they be mitigated, if not stopped completely? Although there is no magic pill for cure, but a complete analysis of the cause-effect scenario would surely throw lights into this syndrome that afflicts us all at some time or the other, and learning from this sincerely, we could attempt at the mitigation. Error is the backyard of perfection. Now, ladies and gentlemen, pardon me for being invisible. I think the invisible men are better. The voice is important, and the voice needs to be heard. It's important, ladies and gentlemen, when you look at from this 360-degree point of view to analyze a situation, the pros and cons, and what causes and what is the factor out of it. You see that like KPMG had on, particularly if, okay, now permit me. I think one is coming to the startup scenario, coming to the professional world, coming to the entrepreneurship. But before that also, I'm sure each of us would have experienced some amount of failure, some kind of a struggle, some amount of challenges in our personal life also. Now, the challenges that we experience within our relationships, which is very common, of late has become a big challenge, particularly with the youngsters. Everyone trying to be independent of the other. So what happens when there is an absence of mutual trust, not giving space to each other, taking each other for granted? There, the relationship crumbles. It's very important to maintain this kind of thing, because this is something that needs to be nurtured. It's not like two human beings will agree on everything at every point of time, at every given point of time. It's very natural. Now, if we could accept that from our parents, why can't we with our spouses, with our children, with the adults, with the elderlies, with our neighbors, with our friends, with our colleagues, who and whoever? Now, what's important is, what do we want at the end of the day? That is what I keep telling all the time. If you want peace at the end of the day, so be it. If we want to maintain our independence, you know, if you're talking about the male part, the male ego, the chauvinism, male chauvinism, the male ego is the biggest challenge, the biggest constraint in a relationship. Similarly, on the other side of the female, the feminism. Now, if you could look in both these sexes, both these areas, going to the extreme pulls each other down. And relationship, if it's given importance, that yes, come what may, we need to be together. Ladies and gentlemen, we can be together. No power can keep us apart. Now, that's the personal part of it. Very important is, when you have failure in life, in your personal life, I'm going to come to the professional part subsequently, but I think this is something common to all of us, where we can relate to the fact that in our personal life itself, we have tremendous amount of failures at every step of our life, in the childhood, in the school, in the colleges, in careers, in our marriage, in friendship, in partnership, any and everything. Now, does it mean that we move away from that? So that will question our commitment to the relationship. If we stand committed to the relationship, ladies and gentlemen, we can take that walk, that extra mile to achieve what is required. Why can't two human beings hold each other's hand throughout their lives? They can, we all can. But only when we respect each other, we give space to each other, we do not take each other for granted, we nurture the relationship, understanding, agreeing in all kind of disagreement also. I think if you keep smiling at each other, the world will be a better place to live in. Best wishes to all of you. Have peaceful life. Now, coming back to the professional world, there are plenty of things. In fact, there is one assessment, statistics say that about 200 million Indians will be suffering from mental depression. It is no exaggeration, ladies and gentlemen. Of late, I think we have been witnessing this. Why many people are unable to face challenges in their lives, why people are crumbling at slightest of pressure. If you analyze it, you will understand that the life skills are not being imparted with each of us. The blame would rest on the parents. The blame would rest on the teachers in the schools and colleges and universities. Because once you've grown up, you carry your baggage and you do not listen to people, you stop growing as a human being. The evolutionary process stops because of these kind of baggages that we carry. We do not like to listen to others. We always try to prove our point to others, saying, yes, we are right, I am right, you are wrong. This syndrome, I'm right and you're wrong, has pulled each other apart all the time. Now, ladies and gentlemen, what is depression? It's a failure, right? When you face a failure or any kind of challenges in life, why can't we take it head on? If you're talking about philosophy, we are talking about spiritualism and all that, forget about the religious part. Yes, if you are in it, also equally good. But then why can't it give us the kind of strength that it needed to make us stronger and to face this big, bad world? Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's very, very, very important that we need to face challenges head on. Like you know, there is no two ways about it. There is nothing that we can fall back on, but there has to be a good support ecosystem, definitely, within the family, in the social context, and in the professional world. My humble request to all of us, all of you, to ladies and gentlemen, let us maintain that kind of support ecosystem so that tomorrow somebody doesn't fall into that depression and, God forbid, if ends such a life, a precious life. This is very disturbing. Snuffing out such young, bright lives is the biggest pain that we cannot afford to have. Now, ladies and gentlemen, very important is when we talk about the kind of failure that we have. The failure, when particularly in the context of your business and the profession, either as a startup entrepreneur, what happens is when you look at the entire pyramid, it looks pretty big, challenging. Break it down to smaller segments. It is much easier to handle with. It is doable. So when you break your challenges, if you're supposed to become an entrepreneur, you need to know like it is 5% of idea, but 95% execution. The idea is important, but the execution is what sustains your idea. Now, in the KPMG, in fact, while doing a survey in 2020, it finds about 5 primary reasons for the fallout in Indian context in particular. And it says lack of market needs, which is around 42%. 29% of that is cash exhaustion, the budgetary problem, the funding issues. 23% lack of right team of founders, discord. The acrimony between the founders, the partners. Then about 19% is due to the competition, but 14% is about weak business model and lack of marketing, business development, promotional activities. But then, like I said, 5% is always idea, 95% is execution. And that, the problem, what happens is we tend to get narcissistic and obsessed with our own ideas and stay rigid and resist to change, ignoring the market dynamics. It's very important to keep pace with the market dynamics and adhere to that. So we need to be flexible in our ideas also tomorrow. The market dynamics could demand something else to implement, incorporate, and we need to have space for it. So we should not be obsessive with ideas all the time. So that is something very important. But then most importantly is when you focus on a smaller market initially to test the water before venturing out and address the larger market segment, it becomes much easier. Like I said, the whole pyramid, if you look at, looks pretty big and challenging. It's towering personality, towering structure. But if you break it into smaller segments, it is attainable, it is doable. So it's very important for all of us, ladies and gentlemen, as entrepreneurs, as business leaders, need to break our challenges, our what do you call it, the targets into smaller segments. Then it becomes easier. Of course, the partner, the co-founder is very important because the test begins when the going gets tough and challenges surmount beyond control. Because it's a well-documented fact that partnerships fail often and businesses crumble with the infighting between the co-founders for various reasons. Founders' discord is attributed to, like I said, about 23% of startup failures. So it's very important that you need to be in the same, respecting each other. Instead of highlighting on the weaknesses, focus on your strength and complement each other. That's something very, very, very important, which I personally experienced in my first startup. The second is, of course, the optimum utilization of minimum resources and cutting the code according to the close that help managing business affairs and daily operations. So bootstrapping is very important. Like how we have seen, like what is if I may be permitted to ask a question, like what do Microsoft, Apple, HP, Amazon have in common? Because all four of them began in the garages of their founders. Silicon Valley is full of stories of technology giants with such humble beginnings. And we do have near home Infosys that started from a garage and Flipkart from a small 2 BHK rented apartment. So it's no point having a well-appointed office and spending lakhs and lakhs of rupees in that and without having the revenue in hand. So that's something very important we need to look at, because sales minus fixed costs minus variable costs is the target net income. We could outsource various uncore activities. Cost control is an important factor in maintaining and growing profitability. So controlling cost is one way to plan for the target net income, which is computed using the kind of formula that I told about. Next, I would say to focus on the business model and plan. Because there have been several instances of good businesses folding up prematurely. On closer examination, we get to know these factors influencing their fate as far as the business model is concerned. Ideas imposed upon the non-existent market is number one. Number two could be run-of-the-mill ideas or cloning existing ones. The third could be unable to keep pace with the changing market dynamics and changing demands in the absence of a plan B ready. So these are the kind of things that we need to, so it's very important that when you become an entrepreneur, you start your startup and all, keep validating your ideas time and over again. Keep talking to people in the industry, the accomplished people or people even who have struggled but have learned. So it's very important is to understand that and have confidence. The next is the traction, ladies and gentlemen. As a startup mentor, I always emphasizes on this part of the business. In my opinion, because I've seen from both sides of the coin, if you look at it, most of the startup entrepreneurs, they struggle for funding. If you look at the investor's point of view, the first question they will ask is the traction. What is the revenue that you have generated? So I have understood from my personal experience, which I call it repeating that as a failure as a startup entrepreneur. Traction is something you need to focus on. When you start earning your confidence, when you start earning, your confidence soars, your business grows, and investors appreciate. So please let us focus on traction, because that relies on your go-to-market strategy, the marketing efforts, but only when you are able to get your offers related to and connected with the target market, including the target audience to accept and purchase. People should be there not just to like and love your ideas, but to pay for it. You will succeed only then, ladies and gentlemen, when people pay for ideas. That will be the sustainable factor. But of course, the market dynamics demand a lot of flexibility in your ideas into go-to-market strategy. And you need to keep revamping your ideas, add different technologies as required. Visibility is important, definitely, but then unless it is hollow within, you cannot sustain in the long run. So you need to reinvent yourself literally every month, if not every week.
Great.
And then, yeah.
No, I said great, great thought. This line was great. I said reinvent every month. Please continue. Yeah.
Thank you, Shalini. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure you will agree with me. The other most important point here is when we try to raise investment, the investors deck that we are so accustomed with, so familiar with. I'm sure the moment I ask anyone, you will show off all your slides, scores of slides that you must have prepared so diligently, so thoughtfully, so passionately. But then there are ways and means, ladies and gentlemen, because first is I from both sides of the table, from when I first was an corporate professional, then become an entrepreneur, then become in the investor side, and then trying to be the mentor. And since I've been in the national pool of mentors of STPI, Software Technology Park of India, and of course connected with Bangalore similarly. The most important thing I would like to just enumerate very briefly, I would say, ideally the investor's pitch deck should follow not more than 5 to 6 slides at the most. Now, do understand what is the objective behind creating, designing, writing this investor's deck, the investor's pitch. Investors look at certain things that you need to understand and keep it in your mind, at the back of your mind, before venturing into this part of the work. The investors look at how confident you are of your idea, whatever be the idea. Idea is one part. How much passionate about that you are as the founder. It is like testing you first, that whether you have bought the idea into your mind wholeheartedly. Because if not, a half-baked approach to the market will lead to disaster. So that is the first pulse the investors look at, whether you are literally wedded to your idea. Whether you have the confidence, you take pride in that. Because the moment you have confidence, you take pride in your ideas, you're wedded to your ideas, it will be much easier for you to convince others, gain traction. You can convince the investors also. So the first slide should be 3 to 4 lines summary, the executive summary kind of thing, not more than 3 to 4 lines, remember. The second slide is about the pain point, the gaps in the market. The third should be the solution on offer to address these pains identified. The third slide should be about the traction and the clients, if you have. The fifth would be about the core team over and above the founders. The sixth is, if at all is allowed, the funding request and equity offer. Why, how much, what for? Now, at the back of it, to supplement this, you need to have your spreadsheets, the Excel sheets ready, so that in case, remember, your first presentation to the investor should not be aimed at concluding everything. Do not expect them to, fall into your narrative, your story, your storyboard, and will immediately shell out money to you. It never happens. Never even expect that. So what you need to do, the first thing is to create the first impression, a positive impression, and to make them inquisitive about you, to make them attracted to your proposition, so that they will come back and ask you further questions. That is the time you open up with things in detail. The spreadsheet, the Excel sheet needs to be shared with them. So that's something very important. Because there are two major drivers that matter to raise money successfully. One is your team. Second is your idea, which is interesting to them. So focus on your cash flow first. So it's very important, because the idea, like I said, again, repeating about the slides that I've spoken about, the idea beyond that first is, what is the problem that you are trying to address and solve? What is your solution to the problem? What is the USP, the unique selling point, the novelty factor about your solution? Next is competition and barrier to entry. How easy it is to replicate your solution? That would be a question in the mind of the investor. Then what is the revenue model like? How will you make money off your solutions? You need to make a minimum of 3 to a max of 5 years business plan and balance sheet, cash inflow and outflow details. Then, of course, you need to talk about the target market, the size of your market, and what percentage of it you will be targeting to achieve in what time frame. So you need to profile your customer. Then you need to talk about your product and service. How will this add value to the whole proposition? Then you can enumerate the milestones, the prototype, the patents, pilots, and your first, second, and third years roadmap. So that will give confidence to the investor that yes, these founders have complete clarity. They know what are the steps they need to climb up to reach their destination, and how clear they are about it, how prepared they are in advance. Then, of course, you need to talk about the funding, like why and how much money is required, and how will you be spending them to achieve what? And of course, you talk about your team. Take pride in that. Now, remember, the primary objective of the investors, like I said, is to know you all in the core team, understanding about your capabilities and team spirit, see your clarity of thoughts and confidence to drive business, to have your clear long-term plans, and of course, technology integration and improvement. Now, ladies and gentlemen, do not forget that technology plays a major role. Do not think that you are not a technocrat, so you need not include technology in your proposition. No, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, you are wrong. There is no idea, particularly if you're talking about entrepreneurship, then you're talking about being just a businessman. I mean, in my personal understanding, please correct me if I'm wrong, I think That's an entrepreneur. He's a creator. He identifies the problem, he addresses it with a solution, and the solution, which is sustainable because of the involvement of technology. And that is something is going to make it much easier for all of us, ladies and gentlemen. And the third part of it, if at all we try to behave responsibly, like what Dr. Kiran Majumdar-Shaw often talk about, if you have come across on our writings in LinkedIn and Twitter, is the compassionate capitalism. That's very important. And that's how I relate that to social entrepreneurship. In fact, I go out of my way to promote and support the social entrepreneurs who are not profit-driven, but they are so important for the fabric of our society, where we can improve on offering solutions to overcome various, whether it is in the urban challenges, the challenges that we see in the urban world or in the rural world. We should not depend on the government all the time. You and I, if we want, together, we can get solutions to most of our problems. And in my personal thinking, in my opinion, again, I hope you'll agree with me, you'll be the same page, that I say, if you want to build a nation, if the country needs to be stronger, it is the people who have to be responsible, the citizens have to be responsible, take up ownership, have pride, because the ownership, a sense of pride and ownership is what distinguishes us from the rest of the people. And we can build a better world. We can build a community. We can build a society. We can build a nation. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the other important thing, if you permit me, is the product positioning. The product omissions and commissions, the strategy. Like if you have understood the case in point, which I keep talking about, or you might have come across, is the case of, if I'm permitted to say again, the failure of Tata Nano. Why Tata Nano failed? Because I feel, and that's what I keep talking about in my management classes, that it's about the product positioning and branding. The classic case of Tata Nano, the revolutionary people's car that created huge buzz across the world and was just rightly priced to suit the smaller pockets of the target market, the middle-class Indians, dreaming of graduating from the two-wheelers to a four-wheeler. Notwithstanding the no-frill option, after all, a car is a car for such a person, no matter what size and facilities it may offer. Now, the automobile world was amused yet excited, and the initial responses were akin to the opening of a superstar's blockbuster. But where is Nano today? Why did it fail abruptly, belying all plans and support? If we put aside the other reasons like the technical issues, the production delays and the likes, which were true, but the issue that stood out tall and needs sincere consideration is the product positioning, the omissions and the commissions. The automaker was under the misconception that the low price would be enough to motivate people to buy the Nano. They did not account for the positioning it as a cheap vehicle, which in India's market translates to low quality. Because here in India, we always get swayed by, if anything, it is priced high, a premium. Anything sold in premium, we consider that as of good quality. Anything cheaper could be of real good quality, but we look down upon. That is a typical Indian marketing psyche, the consumer psyche. So this is where the Nano failed to be the innovative car it was aspired to be, and is still considered one of the biggest tragedies in the history of the Indian automotive industry. But that's a lesson we all have learned the hard way. Now, the most important other aspect of your entrepreneurship in the startup scenario is the marketing, the PR, and branding. Because well-calibrated publicity is the key to success and the popularity of anything that needs to be consumed by the public, especially when the market is crowded with several similar ones, the clones. The efforts need to be that much more different. Now, ladies and gentlemen, very important when you conclude these kind of analysis is that you need to first have a written in black and white, you need to write down your director's agreement, which needs to be, which will spell out your Magna Carta and follow them sincerely in letter and spirit, having the right checks and balances in place so that you can avoid the challenges, the friction between the founders, the partners. Second, being unable to control over your activities and overly depending on others becomes your weak point. This is what I've learned the hard way. The moment I started depending on someone else in my team, thinking that this is what I probably am not good at. That could be true. Humility aside, I ignored the reality that I'll be taken for granted and I'll be misused and looked down upon. That was my nemesis, I would say. Because men are complex creatures and wired to take control mostly, this often triggers conflicts, leading to possible shutdowns and breaking down in relationships. So mutual respect is a must, and disagreements need to be professionally addressed with dignity and without emotions. However, respecting your mutual sentiments and feeling is always appreciated. Now, relating to the investor community is an art and science. You need to understand and focus on your traction. The early revenue generation, the cash inflow is the strong booster ingredient, and your entrepreneurial journey hinges on it. Remember, it's always teamwork and working in tandem, supporting each other, leveraging on one's strengths and with a passion to succeed together while walking hand in hand in the journey ensure success and peace. Failure is the pillar of success. When one door shuts, more open. We just have to work harder with perseverance and determination without giving up in the face of challenges or when tripped over. Get up and walk on. Find your purpose. Listen to your calls. Failure is just a comma, ladies and gentlemen. It's not, and I repeat, it's not the end of your journey. Look around you. People with much more pains, lot more losses are still smiling and moved on with success. Later on, rediscovering ideas and reinventing themselves. As an entrepreneur, I have learned all these the hard way. And so I'm sharing with you, ladies and gentlemen, the same for your benefit, your success, so that you won't trip over and fall halfway. Perhaps I've become more successful and is great in demand today as probably a startup mentor and business advisor to companies because of these lessons I have learned. My humble understanding for my own failures and shortcomings. It's gratifying to see, and I take pride in saying that my contributions and value additions are being publicly acknowledged today and appreciated by most of the startups I've been mentoring. I'm today ready to take up the kind of thing because life is the biggest teacher and learners always improve. Ladies and gentlemen, do not, please, my humble request to each of you, do not attach any kind of stigma to failure. Failure, like I said, ladies and gentlemen, should not be considered as the end of the journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That was, I think, a very humble admission of failure. and a very insightful session for all of us. So many takeaways, and I think we could have just gone on, but there are a lot. Timing is which we have to look at. There are a lot of people who have got questions and answers. You can take a breather, and then we open the forum. Couple of questions. So yes, over to the audience. We can take questions. If anybody has, you can raise a hand or you can ask a question directly to people. Yeah, Prem, I
And
think.
also, sorry, interrupting you. Probably, Shalini, you may share my email ID and even if possible, if required, mobile number, so that because of the time constraint, probably there would be people who would be hesitant to ask questions in public could write to me, could talk to me. I'm always there for everyone. Thank you.
Sure. I will do that. So yeah, still that time that I shape let people. Yeah, it's open to everyone for questions.
Hello, sir. I'm Vineet. I'm currently working on a startup idea. Like, I just want to figure out, like, what would be the day's pre-product market fit. Like, when we are trying to change the product so that users like. So, when we are at that stage, how do we talk to users, or how do we pivot? Any thoughts on that?
Would you mind repeating the last part of your sentence?
So, if we just want to figure out when to pivot or when to continue.
Want to continue your business?
No, when I'm starting with the idea, I need to refine the idea so that the customer likes the product. So in that case, there may be some instance where we need to change the product completely, or we just need to go in the way.
Yeah. Got it. Thank you. Vinith, is it right?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Vinith, for the question. I can understand what is going through your mind right now to get into this kind of entrepreneurship. It's important that, first of all, do a market survey, market research before you enter, into the market with your wares, whether it's your ideas, your thoughts, your solution, your product, or anything. That is the first way to understand first the market. Like you need to understand, you need to identify the pain points, the gap between the demand and supply. The moment you have identified that, you have developed your ideas, which is getting a shape into a solution or a product. The moment you do that, you work around your marketing strategy, around it. And the moment you do it, like I said, you need to validate repeatedly. If you have understood the market, if you have identified the actual gap and between the demand and supply in the market, and your product or solution or your idea is addressing wholeheartedly to that, or at least a specific segment of it, I think half of your pain is taken care of. So what I'm trying to say is, the moment while in the process of validation, if you come across criticisms even to the extreme, you need not completely change your product or idea as a solution. It has to be just tweaked around a bit here and there, understanding the market dynamics. Did I answer your question, Vinith?
Oh, yes, sir. Thanks.
Thank you. All the best to you.
Thank you. Another.
I have shared the email ID and phone number of Mr. Pranab. Anybody, please take it from the chat box. Yeah, please continue.
If no one have any other question, I'll have a follow-up question.
Please. Yes, please.
I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
So thank you so much for sharing such beautiful insights and educating all of us. It's such a wonderful session. But back in my mind, while I have read the book twice and been promoting all through to all my friends, colleagues, everyone that I know, I'm just curious, when are you planning tentatively you may not give me a precise date. Any plans to launch your next book? Any tentative date in mind?
Any plan?
To launch your next book?
Oh, okay. Let this first book be loved and accepted by all of you. And of course, I'm pretty overwhelmed with the kind of response getting literally from across the world, literally, not just India. The kind of messages are coming from various social media and to personally to me on my phone. People sharing their photographs, taking pride in taking photographs, holding my book in hand, and yeah, I'm thankful to all of you, and I'm sure. Let me show it to everyone once again. This is the book. You must order it today. You must order it today. If you permit me, what Dr. Kiran Majumdar Shaw has written, and just the last sentence of it. He said, Pani draws on his decades of experience in the corporate world to provide rare insights into the changing nature of the world we live in and how to make sense of the change. This book is a must read for the youth of today who are looking for road signs to shape their professional careers, even as they aspire to reshape the future. So, ladies and gentlemen, at least let us heed to such a fabulous, enterprising, most successful entrepreneur from India, this great lady. I have immense respect for her. So inspirational, Dr. Kiran Majumdar Shaw. And I'm sure you're going to read it. And coming back to your question, Mr. Prem, is yes, 2 of my manuscripts are almost ready. And I may surprise most of you with I'm yet to decide which would be my second book. And for your kind information, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many of you are aware of, technically speaking, this is my first book, definitely in my own name. But I have actually, as a ghostwriter, written 2 books. Both happen to be bestsellers. One is a novel for a young fashion designer. The second is an autobiography of a PSU veteran. And I was just trying to test the water, whether my writings are being appreciated or liked and accepted by the market. That gave me confidence that today I could write this book. And talking to you, standing in front of you, sitting in front of you, having the honor of addressing you. Otherwise, I would have become a so-called another Pranab Pani, another person who is trying to do so many things in his life, but he is a failure.
So just a question I have, if many of us, including thinking of writing a book. So what is the first step that we should do if someone of us wants to become an author and write a book?
Yeah.
You heard my question, right? If somebody wants to write a book, what they should do?
Okay, you're asking me. All right. Okay, yeah, Shalini.
You are the person who all the questions are directed to today.
All right, thank you. Sure. Yeah, it's like what I was talking about, the lesson from failure, as a startup entrepreneur, similar kind of thing. If you are again convinced about your ideas, your story, whatever you want to write about, first of all, of course, I'm sure you would have done a research about it to understand, to get the facts and figures right, and to create a effective storyboard is very important. A storyboard, and you need to be a good storyteller because it's very important to as an effective communicator, you need to be able to create even certain imageries which people should be able to relate to, your target readers in particular. So you need to keep that in mind. It's not like often what happens if you have noticed why certain films, for example, or certain books, for example, have become disasters of very eminent authors, very eminent successful film directors and story writers and all, is the moment we become, in my opinion, again, become narcissist. We get obsessed with ideas and trying to impose on others, on our audience, without caring for their likes and dislikes. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a difference being a poet, there is a difference being a writer, and there is a much difference, particularly when you become when you become a writer of such a what do you call it, non-fiction book, essay. You know, you need to be more careful about it to relate to the target audience. So that's something very important. And like I said again, when we are coming to the public, we need to respect public. They are customers. Customers is the king. I just cannot try and impose my ideas, no matter how possessive I'm about it, no matter how good it sounds, if majority of my target audience, my reader, do not accept it, do not comply with my thoughts. So I have to take care of that. I think I answered your question.
Thank you so much. I think we are, running much
There's a-
ahead of time. Yeah.
There's a question in the chat box.
Yeah, please.
From Rajesh Purohit is asking a very relevant question, I suppose. Like, how do you foresee the post-pandemic market economy in India, and what tips you give for the entrepreneur and startup aspirants in India?
Yes, I think it's the question is by Dr. Rajesh Purohit, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I'm glad and honored that he is my childhood friend. The former director of Allahabad Museum and Calcutta National Museum, Dr. Rajesh Purohit is an eminent, a phenomenal personality. Right question, Rajesh. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being around, and it's a pleasant surprise for me. Honestly, I didn't know that you are here. Good. The question is yes. Like I said, the pandemic has disrupted the lives and livelihood very badly. It has definitely impacted every aspect of our life. Of course, the economy, of course, the industry, and the business alike. Now, to overcome is a pretty big challenge. People are tottering about, people are scrambling for earning. The situation has come to that level. Now, it's very, very, very important to stay afloat, to keep your neck sticking out from the deluge called pandemic. I think we need to tweak our business parameters, need to reinvent, to rediscover also, to keep pace with the changing dynamics. The market dynamics is pretty different now, because if you have seen, now most of the businesses are happening across the virtual world. So we need to align with that platform. Now, but most important, like I said, if the fundamentals are strong, then the sustainability is guaranteed in spite of the tottering in between, the fumbling in between, which is difficult to ignore. Pandemic is something that's a big challenge for all of us, a big lesson for all of us. I join all of you to pray that good health remain with all of us, to be at peace, and of course need to earn, and of course don't forget to share the wealth, at least if not your money, the knowledge. Thank you. Did I answer your question, Rajesh? Because we are hard pressed for time. I think we have crossed the time limit. I'm really, really, really thankful to each of you from the core of my heart. let me do pranam to all of you that we have spent so much of time, given so much of time, and more than 55 people were there today. And it's an honor. And of course, a great thanks to the esteemed Rotary Club of Bangalore, and each of you great Rotarian. I'm really thankful to you. You have honored me a lot. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you so much. Before we end, you just said some time back that give it back, give through your knowledge, and even if you can't give it money. So I just want to let you know that we are a 1-year-old club, but we do so many small, big projects. We have a far hard. We try to collect money. We try to do projects. We try to do fundraisings, and it is so amazing to be a part of Rotary, especially our club, which is a virtual club. We have members from across the country and abroad, and it is led by Subir and Gitanjali, very, very able leaders. And I would request each one of you to join us on a musical event coming on 25th. It's a virtual fundraising event. It's for a cause for education for better tomorrow. And it's available on Book My Show. And it's no tickets, it's free of cost, because we've got fantastic sponsors that who have sponsored. So we're not charging. We want you to enjoy music. And to add to it, we also have Bengali and Odia song in it. It's a multilingual show. So I wanted to let you know that please join in. It's a multilingual musical event. And so thank you so much for it. And Subir and Gitanjali.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. Okay, Gitanjali, Subir, you want to say something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my pleasure. Yeah.
So thank you,
One
Shalini.
second, 1 second. Shalini, I'm logged in from my laptop. Can you just share that Book My Show link here if it is possible?
Okay, I'll do that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Subir, you were saying something.
Yeah. So thank you, Shalini, and thank you, the sir, and all the participants who took time on a weekday to listen to such a wonderful message. Of all the messages,
So see.
Yeah. So of all the messages, one of the things that will remain with me is about handling failure. And of course, different messages were there for the startups. But apart from that, it's about how do we the merits of actually disseminating knowledge and wisdom. I think that is something will always remain with us. And I'm sure that we will get to read the book and have a conversation with you offline. And there are many things there are to discuss. And we look forward to interact with you again in the future also. Thank you very much, sir. And thank you, Shalini, for making this event happen, making it very successful program today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'll just share the the link for everybody for Book My Show, and I request all of you to please take that link. It is, and you can the link came right for Book My Show. It's in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've kept the link my show. So it's it is the event is called Time Travel. Even if you search at Book My Show, it's called Time Travel, and you can actually enjoy the show with us. We look forward to seeing you in the show. Yeah. So Gitanjali, would you like to add something before we close?
Oh no, yeah, it was. I think we have covered most of the thing. I'm looking forward to more such sessions. Probably we'll invite Mr. Pani again, because there has been request that we should have a session for attractors, and I think that is the needed thing. When they are just stepping into their career, probably such motivating talks will help, and it'll help them for their future career options, what they should do. That's it's a very confusing stage most of the retractors go through. I think we will I request Mr. Pani if we can take some more time and address the retractors, so probably you can coordinate for that.
Yeah,
And thanks
Yes, I'll be
again.
available. I'll be
Yeah.
available for you.
Yes. Thanks
Thank you
again,
very
sir,
much, sir.
for taking. I mean, we really there's lot of takeaways, as Subir said. Me being an entrepreneur, for me also, last 1.5 years have been a very tough time. So I'm looking at failure as a new opportunity going forward. Yes, thank you.
So I just will take 1 second before we say thank you to him. I thought, let me just share the screen. Can everybody see the poster?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
this is the poster for our event, which is coming on 25th. So time travel, you can see this poster on Book My Show also. Please join us and enjoy the music, and we hope to see you there. So that's, Mr. Pranab, I would like to see you there, and all your guests and all the participants today.
Definitely, and I take this opportunity of requesting all the people here today, my friends, my family, my fans, my whoever is following me, do make it a point to attend this Book My Show, such a beautiful musical program, and we shouldn't miss out on. And yes, I'll be also there. Definitely may spring a surprise to some of you. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you
so
very
much.
much.
Thank you so much for taking your time. Thank you so much to everybody who has joined us, and we really enjoyed having you. Thank you.
And I hope I would like to see as many of you taking pictures and posting on various social media with this book. And please read it just for the sake of your benefit. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thank you so much.
Good night.
Thanks, Shalini.
Thank you.